Hi there, welcome back to our Fanuc Roboguide tutorial. Now that we have loaded our work cell and we have our teach pendant loaded before us, let's see what magic we can work with this robot. This work cell is set up with the Fanuc LR Mate 200 ID. It's an incredible robot. It's a beautiful robot. But what can we do with it? A robot is pretty much a piece of junk if you cannot tell it what to do. So, this robot is right here for us. You might want to see around it, right? You could use the zoom buttons here. You could zoom out, you could zoom in, but that will not show you enough, right? It will not. Well, Fanuc gave us these tools here to turn the robot around, basically. But I don't do this because to me, it's not making so much sense using these buttons. So what do? I pan my robot, or I rotate or orbit my robot where I want directly by using the shift or the control key. So let's say I want to revolve the robot around, and I press down and I hold. I press down on my right click. I press down on my right click button. I can turn it around the way I want to turn it. But now I've turned it this way and it doesn't make sense what I see. I can zoom it. Well, just zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. It still doesn't make sense. What do I want to do? I want to pan it now. So I press on the control key and then I click and I drag. Again, press on the control key and then I right click on the screen and I drag. That's what I do. Now I've done this, I can right click again and rotate the screen. And now I can see better views of the robot. Let's see better views of the robot. Okay. There are other shortcut keys you could use. To make your movement through the screen easier. You can see those keys by clicking on this mouse here. Click on this mouse here and the shortcut keys appear. For instance, to rotate, you use your right click and drag. To do the panning, use your control plus the right click or your middle and then you drag. To zoom in and out, you just both. Then hold on a sec. Okay, those being those, you might want to do some other stuffs. For instance, you might want to manually jog your robot without using your teach pendant. And how would you do that? So first, let's rotate this robot to a view that is more convenient for us. To do that, I press on my right, I turn it around. See that? I pan it again, control down, right, then move. Now I can zoom in a bit to make it more visible. Okay, let me just pan it a bit again. Okay, now you want to jog this robot manually. Let's say, for instance, you're using Roboguide and your robot crashed into the table. You might get stuck if you don't know what to do. Don't panic. Like I always say, don't panic. Come here to the show or hide joint jog tool. You click on it, you will see the jog handles come out for all the joints on the robot. Oh, fine. You just click any of the handles and move it in the direction of the handle. It's pretty simple, right? Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. Okay, for instance, we might want to reorient this, reorient the end of arm tool. You can go in this orientation and position it the way you think it should be, but be sure that it's properly positioned in a way. Otherwise, if you put it in the wrong position, you'll get a lot of errors. Okay, and you can move this joint also. You can move this. This will come in handy when you're trying to teach points in Roboguide. Otherwise, you can basically make these movements with your teach pendant. You can basically do them with the teach pendant. Okay, don't drive it through the table. If you do that, you're crashing your end of arm tool, damage your table, you damage your robot, or you damage your tool. Either ways. But don't panic, don't be scared. That will not happen here. At most, you will get an error on your teach pendant. You cannot damage any of the stuff here. So I pretty much would let it test the limits on the computer. That's the kind of stuff you will say, don't try this at home, but in this case, don't try this in the lab. Don't try this in the lab. Of course, you're fried if you do that. Okay, now that we've done those, let us proceed to actually move our robot. Let's jog the various joints of the robot manually using the joint jog tools, and also do the same using the teach pendant. Okay, so I'll click on this. After I've clicked on this, remember you can show, you can hide, or you can show it. Okay, now I'm showing all the joint handles. So I jog it this way, I jog it this way. Okay, I can jog this out, I can jog it in, I can jog it in the rotational axis. Okay, and I can jog joint 1. So let's count the joints. You jog joint 1, this is joint 1, and you're jogging the robot in your x-axis. Then you jog joint 2. So assuming you're using the world view, or assuming you're using the world frame rather, assuming you're using the world frame, joint 1 is your x-axis. Okay, and joint 2 is your y-axis, and joint 3 is your z-axis. But these are the major axes. Now let's go to the minor axes. I call them primary and secondary axis. The people give different nomenclature but basically just know the joints, joint 1, 2, 3 to 6, and you're fine. Okay, so these are the secondary, and then let's go to the minor axes. This is again is joint number 4, which is your x-axis on the minor, x minor. Make sure it's properly oriented before you run your robot, otherwise you could have your robot going in the opposite directions by the time you input your programs. Okay, and then the y minor, and then the z minor. Okay, all right, that being done, we're fine now, I believe. Now we can try to do the same with our teach pendant. Oh, you see we already got the error popped out on the teach pendant. We have a fault. It's because our tool is conflicting with the table, the datum on the table. So we need to jog this robot clear of the table and then reset the error. Good, the error is reset. Now, in order to jog the robot using the teach pendant, you have to engage your shift key. Either you're like clicking on it here on the screen and leaving it permanently, shift, and then you can click to undo it later, or you can press the shift button, the shift button on your keypad, and you can jog it in the X. You see the speed is too much, so we need to reduce our override. In Roboguide, to reduce your override, you just come down here like you do it with the real touch pendant and reduce your override. Let's reduce it to 10%. 10% is a fine number. 10%. Okay, so now shift down, X plus, take it back. See, notice that I take my mouse off it and it's still moving because it's pressed down. It's assumed that when you press it like that, it's assumed that you're pressing and holding. So you have to tap it again to unhold it, to take your finger off it in that sense. Okay, then let's do this for the Y. Okay, the Y minus, and then the Y plus. But something very important, before you start jogging your robot, you need to put your robot in world frame, because that's in world frame is where your axis, as it is on this jog grouping buttons, would actually reflect with your activity, so that if you want to move X, you know you're moving X. And how do you do that? How do you do that? You do that by clicking on your coordinate key on your touch pendant. You click on your coordinate key, it changes the frame. Can you see the frame is changing? Okay, so you're changing the frame. We'll talk about frames in some subsequent video, including your user frame and the importance. You click it to world, good. Set it in world view, in world frame rather. So used to saying world view because I use a lot of CAD software. Okay, bear with me please. Set it to world frame, and now you set it to world frame. Let's jog our robot again. Okay, and jog it in the Z, the Z down. Oh, don't crash it. Then the Z positive is upward. Okay, our minor axis, you jog your minus X with your J4 joint. You jog your J4 joint. See the, okay. Let me move it to the side a bit. Jog it back. Okay, you jog your J5. You can jog your J5. Okay, you can jog it back. That's a joint 5. Okay. Now you can jog your end of arm 2. Oh, you can, let's just up the override a bit. Up the override to 15, up it to 20. Okay, then that's cool. We can let go of that. And now, so with these, you can basically jog your robot around, move it to where you want to move it to, and then teach your points if you want to teach points. Okay, teach your points. But note that the robot has limits. There are limits you move the robot to, and it will throw an error, it will throw a fault on the screen. I'm sorry about the call. So in the coming videos, we'll talk about how you can teach points in your work cell, teach points with your robot, and how you can create a user frame, and how you can create a tool center point, and the importance of these things. You would also hear about them in the coming videos. Stick with us. We'll see you in the next video. Have fun using Roboguide. Bye.